Hello, friends, and welcome back to Stories About Entitled People. Let's start our video with a story where OP and their fiancé deal with difficult neighbors who complain about their overgrown garden. But before we begin, best way to support our channel is to leave comments, like, and subscribe with the turned-on bell so you don't miss the new video every single day. Here we go. Want to sit in your garden and judge us? Go ahead, but you won't like the view. Little bit of background. I, 37-year-old female, and my fiancé, 41-year-old female, moved into a mid-terrace house a few years ago. I'm physically disabled, and since a somewhat major operation, my fiancé now has limited mobility. When we moved in, the garden was an overgrown hot mess. Housing associations and a friend of my dad basically razed it to the ground for us. Thing is, the garden is lousy with brambles that have crept in from behind the rear fence of our property, and if anyone has ever had to deal with those effers, then you know how hard it is to kill them. Add to that the random fern that popped up, and you can imagine the fun we've been having with it. I had high hopes for this place and tried to befriend our attached neighbors. One side, the hubby's okay, but the wife's as charming as a hat full of butts, and the other side, both husband and wife are jerks. Mr. and Mrs. Jerk have two large dogs, unsure of breed, that are left to roam the garden pretty much all day, so anytime we go into our own garden, we're deafened by barking. Okay, so dogs bark. They'll just have to get used to us. 6 years in, and we're still waiting. Last year, we had a pretty nasty storm, and the 5-foot fence separating our garden from Mr. and Mrs. Jerk's comes down. That particular fence is their responsibility, so we erroneously assume they'll sort it out. Nope. Instead, they deck the wire fence that separates the property line with solar lights and add new lawn furniture. All right, if they don't want a fence, that's their prerogative, though said wire fence is only about 1.5 feet tall, and their dogs can easily vault it if they want to. I raise my concern. Mr. Jerk brusquely tells me they won't do that. Alrighty then, let's hope not. I've got a kid here, 12-year-old female, and I sure AF don't want her getting hurt. Fast forward a couple of weeks, and fiancé and I are taking a bit of time in the garden trying to plan on how on earth to deal with the bramble triphid problem. It's not hard to see Mr. and Mrs. Jerk watching us from their garden, and quite frankly, it makes me feel awkward. Nothing is said at that time, but after that, anytime we were in the garden when they were in theirs, we'd hear snarky little comments about the state of our garden. They're well aware of the bramble issue and our mobility issues, but we're inconveniencing them by being disabled, I guess? Editing in an addition here, the comments weren't solely about the garden, but I felt keeping the topic to said garden was logical. We did discuss going full nuclear on the brambles with heavy-duty weed killer, but Mrs. Charming as a hat full of butts laid into us because she and hubby have 3 semi-feral cats that pretty much live outside. Don't get me wrong, I love cats. We have 4, so I wouldn't want any harm to come to them. But really, you're complaining about our brambles. What do you want us to do? Anyway, we'd planned on putting aside some money to get a pro in to try and tame the garden, but after the constant snark from Mr. and Mrs. Jerk, we decided to be petty and leave it to run wild. Apart from the brambles, I think it looks lovely, like a little slice of untamed nature. We got dirtier and dirtier looks from Mr. and Mrs. Jerk until all of a sudden a new fence is up. Yay! Now I don't have to suffer from their comments or their apparent need to wear as little as possible outside. Yes, it's their garden, but again, 12-year-old stepdaughter. And besides, I don't want to see an old couple wearing Speedos and itsy-bitsy teeny-weeny bikinis. No more spying from them or genuine fear about the dogs from us. We can enjoy our little wild garden while still trying to figure out how to kill a load of brambles without using any kind of weed killer. Editing to add, I don't mean to come across as body shaming. I just couldn't think of a better way to explain why I felt so uncomfortable trying to relax in my own garden whilst they hopped in and out of their hot tub in very revealing clothes and sunbathed right up at the fence. Further edit, to avoid any confusion, previous attempts by us to tackle the bramble issue without using weed killer include a friend of my dad chopping everything down to about 1 inch high, multiple occasions, My fiancée, prior to her operation, cutting down each bramble vine with loppers and following a tip from her dad about applying boiling water to the leftover stems, multiple occasions. A friend of ours assisting us in cutting the brambles back, spraying them with weed killer, and covering everything with tarp, most recent attempt. Additionally, the brambles are an exclusively our garden problem, possibly because both neighbors have concrete and AstroTurf gardens. Our garden is overgrown, but isn't encroaching on their gardens at all. A well-played hand, especially since all it took was going hands off. I hope you get much more enjoyment out of your garden now. And our second story. I want the original price worth of value. The other day, I had a couple of middle-aged women that came in for a return, claiming their phone screen protector was defective and that they'd purchased it earlier that day. They installed it themselves, but there's a strange adhesive that's dried and fixed to the plastic. Definitely not their fault. It's a cheap protector marked down from $40 to $10 on clearance. Not a big deal, it's an easy replacement. Sure, I say, it's defective. We'll return or exchange it for you. Thank you, Woman A replies. Are we able to swap it for one of the $40 ones? We can get you one of those. So I select the appropriate glass protector and ring it in at the till. $30 plus taxes is the difference. No, that's wrong, she decrees. That's not what I'm paying, is it? That's correct. $40 minus $10 equals $30. That's how much you owe. Woman A. But the one I purchased is regularly priced at $40. You should give me that value for the protector back. Me. Did you pay $40 for the screen protector? Well, no, but that one, she points to the defective plastic discarded to the side of the till, isn't any good, and I want the value of it back. You're getting the value of it back. We can swap it for the same one if you like, and we can verify that it's in working condition, hoping to provide a solution. But it's met with an indignant, no, there's no way to check if the plastic is damaged before you unpeel it, otherwise I would have seen it beforehand. Let's check. And so I open the case and voila, the plastic is perfectly intact. Okay, so you're going to install it for me on my phone? Sure. It's a $15 charge for us to install it. We're happy to do it for you. But it's $0 for me because I'm such a great customer. She was, in fact, not a great customer. Nope, I can swap the protector or I can refund you the money. I want to speak to your manager. Sure, I'm the senior employee in our electronics department. What do you want to speak about? The management for this department won't be in until tomorrow. The management on duty are from different areas, and they'll tell you the same thing. I can offer you a refund for your screen case or exchange of the value you paid, but I'm not giving you $55 worth of product for free when you've only spent $10 here. Is there a store manager I can talk to? Let me call over Miss Manager. She's management. After a minute, Miss Manager comes over to speak with the customer. Woman A. Hi, you're the manager? This man has been presenting himself as management and he's refusing to help me. I wanted to exchange this phone screen and he's not giving me the value of it back. Miss Manager. Well, he knows more about this than I do. What did you say? I repeat the same thing I've been saying for the last 5 minutes. We can refund your money or you can put the $10 towards a different screen protector. Miss Manager. That sounds reasonable to me. Which option would you like? Woman A. This is unbelievable. Your other locations don't treat me this poorly. I want the value of my case. It's $40. Me. We're offering you the value back. You paid $10. You get the $10. Just because it's on clearance doesn't mean you get the original price back. Woman B. Come on, let's just take our business to redacted. They at least know how customer service works. Woman A agrees and the pair leave. Without returning their screen protector they'd spent 20 minutes arguing about. Me. Okay, have a nice day. My first thought is they damaged the protector themselves, thinking they could get a better quality product on the cheap or a refund of the non-sale price. Well done for standing your ground. And our last story. Home builders not respecting property line. My parents take a lot of pride in their home, especially their yard. They've spent years keeping the grass nice and green, and the trees were something they really loved. So when a duplex started getting built next door, they figured there'd be some disruptions, but nothing like what actually happened. At first, the workers next door were just walking across their lawn, making this little dirt path through the grass. It was annoying, but when my parents asked them to stop, they mostly did. Things were fine for a bit, but then the real trouble started. One day, while prepping the construction site, the workers brought in this big excavator. Instead of carefully knocking down trees on their side, they pushed them over onto my parents' yard, tearing out the roots and ruining the lawn. The grass was all torn up and the trees completely wrecked. My parents confronted the workers, who kind of half-heartedly apologized and promised to be more careful, but a few days later they came home to something even worse. A bobcat had driven across their lawn from the front yard to the back over and over again. The yard was a total disaster. The grass was destroyed, tire tracks were everywhere, and it looked like a construction site instead of their peaceful backyard. Here's the conversation with the builder. Dad: "Hey, we've told you guys to stay off our yard, and now we come home to see this?" Builder: "It's a construction zone. Things get messy. We'll clean it up later." Mom: "This isn't just messy. You've torn up our yard completely." Builder: "Yeah, we'll get to it eventually." But later never happened. The builder stopped answering their calls, and when they finally got in touch, the builder straight up refused to fix anything. That was the final straw. Update: my parents weren't about to let that slide. They gathered all the evidence, photos of the damage, some before and after shots, and even a video from a neighbor showing the bobcat rolling over their lawn. They got in touch with a lawyer and took the builder to small claims court. In court, the builder tried to downplay everything, saying the damage wasn't that bad, but my parents had all the proof and the judge wasn't buying the builder's excuses. In the end, the court sided with my parents. The builder was ordered to fully fix their yard and pay for the trees he destroyed, plus he had to cover their legal fees. Now their yard's looking as good as new, and the builder learned the hard way not to mess with someone else's property. Hey guys, thank you all for watching the video. I'll see you in the next one.